The Masquerade Murderer. She held in her hand the ticket to a masquerade ball. Mariah, being the awkward girl she is, usually wouldn't be invited to something like this. Actually, she wasn't invited at all. While she was at the store buying some groceries for her mom, she happened to see a man not much older than her drop the invitation. She tried to get it back to him, but he was already gone by the time she picked it up. So she decided to go for him, thinking it was the right thing to do. Long story short, she ended up with the invite. On her way home, she decided to look it over. It said it was welcome to any age and was taking place at a school that wasn't too far from her house. That's good since she didn't have her driver's license yet. Now that she wasn't old enough, she's just a little nervous about driving. By the time she was done reading it, she was at the front door of her house. The first thing she heard was the news. This just in. A family of 3 found dead. The whereabouts of the murderer are unclear. The only clue is that there is a large axe outside of the 14-year-old's... The TV was cut off by her mother. "Welcome home, sweetie. Did you get everything?" she asked her daughter, who was still holding on to the invite. "Yes," she answered, and handed her mother the card. Looking over, her mom shook her head. "Why would you want to go to something like this? Who knows who's out there? The murderer could go." "How'd you feel if you died?" her mother asked. She was always like this. The chances of a murderer getting onto an army base are very small. Pointing this out to her mother, the outcome of the argument still stayed the same. Sighing to herself, Mariah went to her bedroom. The first thing she did was fall into her bed. Instead of a nice, fluffy pillow, a big ball of fur hit her face. She sat up to find a very angry cat glaring at her. "Sorry, Oreo. Wait, what do you have there?" she asked, looking beside her cat. There was a note that read, "Go to the party tonight. You won't regret it," written in bold caps. Rolling her eyes, she crumbled the note and threw it away. It was obvious who wrote it. Who else but her little brother? He was always playing pranks on her and her little sister when he wasn't playing video games. The note had good penmanship, though. He must have gone better. It's a shame, she thought. I bought a cute dress and everything for the ball. She was incredibly disappointed until she remembered the note on her bed. She was a good girl, good grades. Why couldn't she sneak out this once? What's going to happen? Everyone there is going to get murdered by some guy with an axe? Didn't seem likely. Running downstairs, she grabbed the dress she got. It was beautiful. The top of the dress had a bright red that faded little by little until it turned into a deep black. It'd go great with her brown hair if she put it up in a bun, which she did. She also decided to keep a little bit of her hair down, though, since she did want to stand out a little. She forgot to pick out a mask, though she had everything to make it. Since she was homeschooled, all her classes were done at home, including art. She had tons of bases for different styles of mask. She chose the one that only covered the top portion of her face. Knowing how long it took paint to dry, she instead used red construction paper and taped it to the mask. Then she outlined the eyes with a black Sharpie marker. The mask looked okay, but she wanted to do more. She sewed a red lace around the mask and added small bows to the 2 front ends of it. Lastly, she sewed in a black, see-through fabric to cover up her eyes. Feeling confident in her work, she put the mask on. Finally, it was complete. Except for the shoes. Shoot, she forgot the shoes. It was almost time for her to go, so she threw on her knee-high black Converses and brown overcoat because it may be cold. With that, she jumped out her window and started walking to the ball. In the back of her mind, she was worried. What if I'm the only 16-year-old there? What if I'm the shortest person there? That's usually not the thoughts that should be running through a person's mind. But being 5'2", you had to worry. In all honesty, she didn't care about either of those 2 things. The thought running through her mind at the moment was, will he be there? He, as in her ex-boyfriend Mike. He was the whole reason she quit going to public school. Let's just say Mariah isn't very trusting anymore. How should I put this? He would always tease her, push her around. He laughed at her failures and prayed for her demise. He loathed her, which made her wonder why he even went out with her for 8 months in the first place. Ever since then, everyone thought it'd be cool to pick on her. Oh, if he was there, she would die. Snapping out of her thoughts, she looked up at the school. Everyone there was looking so good and had a date. Mariah decided maybe coming wasn't a good idea. The room that was chosen for the ball was huge, though. It was either the gym or the lunchroom, but it looked great. There were disco balls, chandeliers, punch bowls, the guy from the store. Wait, the guy from the store? Rubbing her eyes, she double-checked, and yes, that was the man from the store. He was standing in a corner, not socializing. This was odd, she thought. How did he get here without an invitation? A little paranoid, she made her way over to him. The closer she got, the more she could see him. He had curly brown hair and was wearing a suit. He seemed lonely. No, that wasn't the word. Maybe he was waiting for someone? He was examining the room. Suddenly he looked up at her. She was only 10 feet away from him, but she stopped in her tracks. They stared at each other for what seemed like forever until something else caught her attention. Splash! Something hit her face. It didn't smell like punch. She looked over to the direction of the substance and saw him. The dark brown hair, those hazel eyes. It was Mike. "Hey, babe," he slurred, hanging over two females, overly undressed, who were giggling at him. Mariah glared at him. "What do you want?" she asked. "Oh, don't act like you hate me. You love me," he smirked. Mariah was getting annoyed and cold. She could take a guess at what she was covered in due to Mike's state. She tried to walk away, but Mike grabbed her arm. "Come on, babe. Don't you want to make out like we used to? Or better yet, we could steal base," he said with a wink. "Look, Mike, I don't like you anymore. Please go away." She felt like she was going to lose it. Unlike Mike, she did have feelings for him. At one point in her life, she would have died for him without having any second thoughts. The more she struggled, the worse he got. She finally had enough and punched him. Now everyone was looking at her. The crowd began to whisper. "How violent," said a woman. "What a bitch," said a man. She was done. Feeling tears start to form in her eyes, she ran out the back door. She would have gone home if it weren't for the fact that she was sure to get a beating if she did. Instead, she sat on the step outside the door. The longer she sat, the colder she got. After about 30 minutes of sitting, she stood up. Might as well go back inside. Until she saw something shiny in the grass. She walked over to it and saw that it was a sword, most likely a katana. She picked it up. Taped to it was a note. "I knew you would come. You'll need to take this." It was the same as before. Now she knew it couldn't have been her brother. But who? Nobody from her house would come to this ball, or would give her a weapon. Not knowing what to do with the katana, she untied her shoes and stuck the handle of it in, then laced them back up, tight enough so that it wouldn't tip over and hurt her. Her dress was long enough to cover the rest of it. After that, she decided to go back inside. It was better than going home. Good thing no one saw how oddly she walked. She was so focused on the note that she didn't notice that she bumped into someone again. Oh, great, Mike. He turned to her and got pissed. "Well, if it isn't the little bitch that punched me," he smirked as he pressed her against the wall. "You're going to pay for what you did," he said, examining her body. Mariah knew what he had in mind and knew she had to get away. Then she heard a voice inside her head. "Use the sword. Rip it open. He deserves it," the voice said. Mariah denied it. No, that was crazy. She couldn't do it. "Come on, be honest with yourself. You want to see the place covered in his blood, and those beautiful hazel eyes dangle out of their sockets. You want his death. You want him dead." No, she thought. She just couldn't. "Do it," the voice whispered. "Do it, do it, do it," the voice repeated. It seemed like she was frozen in time with the voice until something broke her out of her trance. A male voice in her ear. "Do it." She looked up and she saw the man making his way to the punch bowl. Before taking a cup and looked over at her, a sense of power rushed over her. Maybe it wasn't bad to do it. Maybe it was okay to rip Mike limb for limb. After all, he had hurt her so much more. The fact that the man had read her mind didn't even seem to bother her. She stared at Mike, who was stealing a glance at her breast. Now was her chance. She kneed him in the crotch, which sent him down. Grabbing the area of pain, he looked up at her in shock. Not caring, she stepped onto his chest, bending over, looking face to face with him. "Oh, Mike, remember when I fell from a tree and you tried to catch me? You didn't, but you tried. Wasn't that romantic?" she said, applying more pressure to his chest. He seemed like he was about to yell at her until she pulled out her sword from her shoe. "It's a shame, Mike. All those things you said, they were so mean."
That's not a way to make friends, you know, she reminded him as she stuck her hand into his mouth, grabbing his tongue. I guess I have to teach you to be nice, boy. With that, she sliced his tongue, throwing the now useless item to her left. Now you can't be mean, she smiled. Mike was freaking out, trying to get away from her. His screams were odd, since of course he had no tongue. She let him have a moment to freak out before imprinting a small cut onto his cheek. That's where I used to kiss you. Oh, what great days. How I adored them, almost as much as I'll adore doing this. She took her katana and shoved it into his stomach. He cried out in pain, the tears now falling like a river. She had made sure not to cut him too deep. She wasn't done playing with him, of course. She began to make a trail going up through the middle of his ribcage as far as it could go without breaking a bone or killing him. When she was done, she ripped him open, admiring the wonderful creation of the human body. Wasn't it just an amazing work of art? Every detail. She might have put it into a picture one day, if she were ever good enough. She looked at the boy, who was now falling in and out of sleep. He was about to die, but before he could, she whispered in his ear,
You know you deserve this. I mean, how dare you use such a helpless little girl? I would have died for you in a heartbeat. I could see us growing old together. You'd come home from work, and I'd be making a cake. She sighed dreamily, but sadly, you ruined that. Not only did you ruin that, but you ruined me. I cried every day after all your bullying. Not only yours, but the whole school. Everyone was in on it. I bet you wish you had said sorry, right? Too late now, you asshole. I'm gonna rip your heart out. Sound fair? Mike, it's rude not to answer someone. Sadly, your lesson is over. After saying that, she stuck her hand into the wound, grabbing his heart. She held it there for a while, feeling the pulse dropping. It was soothing. Finally, she ripped it out and crushed it. After that, she stood up and looked over at the terrorized crowd. Everyone was in shock. Everyone except, of course, that man. He walked up to her and spoke. Good job. Now let's kill everyone here. Usually she would have freaked out. Having just felt the rush of murder, she happily agreed. Not one person was alive after 12 a.m. Maya looked over at the man who helped her kill the witnesses. She finally had the courage to speak to him. So, you wrote those notes, didn't you? She asked, eyeing him. He looked up at her. She just noticed he had something covering his mouth. It looked kind of like a smile. He spoke through it. Yeah, you did. Just like he said you would. He seemed like he was smiling under the mouthguard as he reached out his hand. Now come on, Master wants to see us now.